We are doing smoke grenades today. So the very first thing that you have to do, and I know this is it'll seem a little backwards, but we're gonna go ahead and build the Niagara component first. So I know that's kind of technically like the last thing that actually gets called. However, just kind of based on how we're programming it, it makes sense, I promise. I'll show you exactly why, because you need to have some certain things in here before you can call them. So really you can copy one of these. You can just do a new FX Niagara System. Once you have that, open it up. I played around with a ton. You might not like the way this looks. If you have a smoke component that you like, that you think just looks awesome, I was actually playing around with, if you go to editor, plugins, Niagara Fluids. I notice I have that checked. I don't think it's checked on the normal Lyra game, but I was doing that, and it was this grid 3D gas master emitter. I might play around with that in the future. That has a really cool, I guess, aspect where you can run through it. I think it's still in beta though, so whether or not you want to do that or not. This one's super simple. It's a straight fountain emitter. I found another dude who actually is the one who kind of gave me some of the settings for this. I'll put the link below to his video. But the very first thing you're going to do is you need to actually, and let me actually go here, I'll show you. It is this M Smoke Sub UV. So now this is actually found in the starter component. So if you actually just open up your content browser, you're going to add feature or content pack. Sorry, and this is where you're going to have just your starter component. Your starter content. I am so sorry, right here. So it's this. I didn't want all of that in there, so I put it in another project and then just migrated it over. That way I only have these three files. I don't have all the other stuff that I don't need. So now once you have that, you are then going to put that material into your material right here for the fountain. So that's going to notice you'll change that. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to go down to it's under render, and it is your sprite renderer. Once you are in there, you're going to go down to under sub UV, and it is sub image. But you're going to change that to 8 and 8. The next thing that you're going to do, and there is a reason why I did this in order. Again, it shows it in the other video. He did, I think, a couple different settings than I'm doing. I'm making mine a little bit larger, a little bit less intense, and then I don't know. I think it gives it kind of a good smoke grenade look. So then the next item that you're going to do is going to be under your particle spawn, and you're going to actually have to add. So if you hit this little button right here, it's going to give you, and then you would just type in sub UV animation. I've already added it, but it would just be right there. And then once you have that, you want to go ahead and change that to random. I don't know what the default settings are, so we just take a look at these settings. Again, if you want to change yours to have it look any way that you want, go ahead and do that. I'm showing you the settings that I've done on the basic one to look like mine. If you want to play with yours, this add velocity here, you can change it and make it, so I think mine's 180. You can have it going out in one specific direction if you want the gas to go in a specific direction, but I have mine at 180. The next one then is the min and max speed right here. Tone these down from 50, I think it's like 50 and 800 or something, or sorry, 500 and 800, change it to 50 and 60. The next one is going to be under initialize particle. Right here, we're going to change the lifetime to 5 and 8. I think what this one does right here, if you increase this, it shoots out a lot faster. If you lower it, it shoots out a little bit slower. So I like this. It kind of makes this smoke grenade appear pretty quickly. And you'll be able to see all this stuff in the preview while you're working on it. The next one is going to be under particle update, and it is this is the scale right here. So I have changed this to 160. I think originally it's like, I don't know, 1 or 5 or 10. But this 160, I kept increasing it. I think I originally turned it up to like 10 and then 50 and then 90 and then 125, and I eventually got it up to 160. So I think that gives it a nice full look. The next one is going to be your emitter update. And that one is here, and it is going to be, so I've changed this, and this kind of gives it that good dissipation. So it's gonna kind of kick out for about 90 seconds, which is about a minute and a half. You can change it if you want it longer, shorter, only maybe 10 seconds. But I think a minute and a half is good. It's going to give you nice smoke coverage for quite a bit of time. Maybe change it to 60 seconds. I will actually show you something that you can actually change this. You could potentially, if you had some sort of skill-based abilities and you wanted, maybe you set where, as they level up, they can increase the length of their smoke grenade. I will show you how to do that in just a second, but I have mine at 90, and then the spawn rate, I don't know what the default is. I have mine at 10. The default might be 10, but I have here in my notes as 10, so I don't know if I changed that. But again, look at these, make sure, like I said, you can change this to lower or shorter. So those should all be, those should be all of the changes that I have in this standard Niagara system. Once we have that one, then we're going to need to go ahead and make this gameplay queue notification burst. So like we did with the others, you can just drag and drop. Once you go ahead and open this one up, notice I did change a little bit of this logic. One of the things that you have to do is just make sure that you're calling the smoke, because that is then going to be, I guess, really the next thing that you should do. And if you've seen some of my other videos, you just know you do the new folder and then go into one of the grenades that you have, grab all of these, and then drag and copy into there. So once you have these, go ahead and rename these, and then you'll just have to go through and make sure that you're calling the right ones in the right spots. If you have, here, I think that one's fine, but in, what is this, gameplay ability? Yeah, just make sure that you're calling the right grenades in the right spot. You can ignore these, but just make sure that, if it says M67 because you copied the M67 over. The only thing really that we do have to change after you change the names and make sure they all line up, that really from the regular grenade is going to be in this projectile, right? So this one right here. Obviously, you want to make sure you change the mesh and everything like that. But once we go in here, there's going to be a couple things. So the biggest thing is notice, and I'll go back, I'll show you the regular grenade. This logic right here, this line right off of detonate, I'm basically deleting all of this because this is what causes the damage. So here we go. We don't want to be causing all of that damage. So what I have done, and I can actually show you, is I think I'm keeping, where is it? Right here. I'm keeping this, right? So we're destroying the actor, and then we're pretty much getting rid of everything else. So right off this detonate, you're going to have the do once. You're going to obviously grab the gameplay tag, which is the smoke. And then you're going to, I'm actually going to be deleting this, and I'll tell you why. I'll show you why. When you throw the grenade obviously blows up right when the detonation happens. On a smoke grenade, though, you don't necessarily want that. So let me turn off the bots attacking me, and then I'm going to go in here and show you when I throw a grenade, the grenade's not going to disappear right away. It's going to wait till after the smoke kind of takes it. So you can still see the grenade right there, right? And then after the smoke kind of eats it, then it disappears. So if you have this set hidden in game, watch. I'll go ahead and show you this. So it gets, I do have to change the explosion sound. I don't know if I have a sound yet. That's something that I'll show you how to do that, even though I have not done that yet. So anyways, we're going to get rid of this set hidden in game, just because that, like I said, you saw it. You saw how that works. So I'm going to move this over. And then again, these over here, we can get rid of these because this has to do with that trail. Notice too, sorry, I don't have this. So the setup VFX, I'm going to come back to that and show you that in a second. But I don't have that trail anymore. Again, it just gives it kind of a more realistic look. If you want to leave that trail, you can absolutely, oops, I did not need to do that. If you want to get rid, or if you want to leave the trail, you can absolutely do that. I don't want the trail, it just gives it more of a realistic look. But we're going to delay 3 seconds just because that's how long it takes kind of for the smoke to build up. And then we destroy the actor. All of that other logic on the end, we are getting rid of that. Again, here I'm doing it where it doesn't explode if it hits something. We're coming off here. So the only other thing is this setup VFX. This is what gives us the different colored smoke. So right off here, what we're going to do is we're going to cast to Be Hero Shooter Mannequin. We're going to get that from the instigator. I have added, it's just down here, it's test vector. No, sorry, and then I'm setting smoke color. So you do have to add this vector smoke color, and then you're just going to grab, just do get. Sorry, so it's just get. And what you would probably want to do is set this as a smoke color. I might change this. I don't know if I'm going to set this in the Lyra character. To be honest, I haven't started building that part out yet. I've built it out on some previous versions, but on this one, I haven't really figured out how I'm going to be doing that yet. But this just, it shows you can grab, the color. If you set it in a menu, you can save it right onto the Be Hero mannequin. I might be doing everything in the Lyra character. And if it is, you'll still be able to access it from this Be Hero Shooter mannequin because it's still going to be set in there. Obviously the children inherit from the parent classes. Yeah, parent classes. Anyway, so then you're going to set this smoke color. So that's setting up the VFX. And then obviously you're going to want to, I think I already did this. On the gameplay tag, you're calling the smoke. And then in this gameplay queue notification, so again, you're going to have to go back. I don't know if I did that one. You're going to go ahead and copy, I think what we have is the small and the large. If you haven't done some of the other grenades yet, so you can just go into the weapons, grenade, and this gameplay, the gameplay queue notification, you can just drag and copy into wherever you want. But that's what we're using. And then we'll go back into here. There's the smoke grenade. No, sorry, not in the smoke grenade. I have them all here. I might move them into their own folder at some point, but so we'll go ahead and open this one up. Sorry. And then so off here, so I deleted a lot of this logic. I assigned smoke color. I deleted a lot of this logic, and then I print stuff out, debugging a lot, as you can see. We can actually get rid of that though, because we're done debugging. So let me just connect these up. Get rid of this one. Nope, not that one. I'll get rid of this one. I'll get rid of this one. On here. So what we're doing, and notice this just kind of gave me, and if you want, you could leave this, right? So you could leave, you've got make float, random float. This is just going to give you random, I guess random, and you could always put this logic like in your B shooter hero mannequin, wherever you want. If you want random smoke colors, this will give you random smoke colors. If you want to grab a specific smoke color, that's where you're going to then cast to the, that's where you're going to cast to this B grenade M18 projectile, because again, in here, we're grabbing it from the mannequin where we're setting it, and then we're going to get smoke color, and then, so this, I think this logic right here, this is already there, but off the target, we're going to cast it. So I think they cast to the B grenade, so replace it with the projectile, and then you're going to cast to the Niagara component, and then you're going to set that in, and it is user color. So to get this, and this is something I mentioned earlier, if you want to have something where you change different aspects, it's not that hard to do. It took me a little bit to figure it out, but I'm trying to think. So is this scale color, right? So the scale color, if I change the scale color, that's what changes the color. So you're going to go over here. You've got your parameters, and then you've got your user parameters. So go ahead and add, and then I did a vector, right? So you're going to grab a no, it's a vector. Sorry, there's 2D vectors, 4D vectors. You just grab a regular 3D vector, and then you're going to name it color. Okay, so then once you have this, you go ahead and maybe I can, yeah. So see, you grab it and then you drag it, and you just drop it right there. So this right here. This is what changes the color of this. So now watch this. I'll change this to 0. Notice it changed the color, right? So change it back to 1, and that kind of gives you that white smoke. Now that we have this is how you change anything in the Niagara component. So I guess I could technically go back on some of my others. I don't need the large and the small. I could probably just do it in a gameplay notification queue. Sorry, I didn't figure that out earlier. I might do that now. I might go back and redo that and in my own project make those changes. But this way, and then I'll increase or decrease the size based on that. But really, anything that you want to change in here. So again, like I was saying, if you have, something that you wanted to do, where was the emitter state? Yeah. So if you wanted to change this, you could just create a new one. What would this be? A float, and then call it, duration or length, and then you can just drag it and drop it right here, and then you can access it through the blueprints. You could set it up in your mannequin and do whatever. But as of right now, all I'm doing it is for the smoke color, and then that changes the smoke color. So once we have all of those, that's it, and we're done. That gives you your grenades, and you are good to roll. So um, obviously I'll throw, I think I'm just throwing boring white at this point, because I think I put it back to normal? Yeah, I put it back to normal. Anyways, I'm not going to bore you guys with me just throwing random smoke grenades, but that's everything. So stay tuned because I'm definitely going to be doing some more. I think if I got one more video on the grenades, I'll do the flashbangs next. And then after that, I've got a lot of really cool other things obviously coming. So stay tuned, click the like, subscribe, all of those things, and I will see you guys next time.